You know how people say animals are driven by instinct to protect their young?
Well, some species apparently miss that memo entirely.
We're talking about creatures that make human deadbeat dads look like Father of the Year candidates.
From moms who abandon their babies before they're even born to parents who straight up eat their own offspring.
The animal kingdom has some seriously questionable parenting tactics. And yeah, some of these are technically survival strategies, but that doesn't make them any less disturbing. Number 1. Pandas and their ridiculous twin policy. Giant pandas already have enough problems with their whole refusing to mate thing, but their parenting skills are somehow even worse. When a panda gives birth to twins, which happens about half the time, the mother looks at both cubs and just picks one. The other cub gets completely ignored and dies within days. She'll literally sit there nursing one while the other one is crying right next to her, and she acts like it doesn't exist. Scientists used to think pandas couldn't tell they had two cubs, but nope, they know. They just don't care. The mother panda makes a choice based on which cub seems stronger, and the weaker one is basically left to starve. In captivity, zookeepers have to play a shell game, swapping the twins every few hours so the mom nurses both of them without realizing it. Without human intervention, that rejected cub has zero chance. The mother won't even acknowledge it's there.
Number 2.
Cuckoo birds and their sneaky home invasion. Cuckoos are parasites that have turned being a terrible parent into an art form. The female cuckoo watches other birds build their nests, waits for them to leave, then flies in and lays her own egg right next to the host bird's eggs. She times it perfectly so her egg hatches first. When that cuckoo chick breaks out of its shell, it immediately starts pushing the other eggs out of the nest before they even hatch. This blind, naked, freshly hatched bird commits mass murder in its first few hours of life. The host parents watch their own eggs fall to the ground and just keep feeding this imposter chick like nothing happened. The cuckoo chick grows massive, often bigger than its adoptive parents, and they're still cramming food into its mouth. Some cuckoo species have evolved eggs that mimic the host bird's eggs almost perfectly. The actual cuckoo mother never comes back. She lays her eggs in multiple nests and moves on, letting other species raise her kids while she does absolutely nothing. Number 3. Black eagle siblings and mandatory murder. Black eagles always lay 2 eggs, but only one chick ever survives. That's because the first egg to hatch immediately kills its younger sibling the moment it emerges from its shell. This isn't accidental or about food scarcity. The older chick, sometimes only a day or two older, attacks the younger one relentlessly until it dies. The parents sit right there and watch this happen. They don't intervene, they don't stop it, they just let their firstborn murder their second child. Scientists call this obligate siblicide because it happens every single time. The parents literally evolved to lay 2 eggs as an insurance policy, knowing full well the second chick is just a backup that will definitely be killed if the first one survives. The younger chick has no chance to fight back because it's smaller and weaker from hatching later. The whole system is designed for fratricide, and the parents factored this into their reproductive strategy like it's completely normal. Number 4. Harp seals and the 2-week abandonment plan. Harp seal mothers nurse their pups for about 12 days. And during that time, the pup gains around 5 pounds per day on milk that's almost 50% fat. Then the mother just leaves. She abandons the pup on the ice and swims away to go mate, and the pup hasn't even learned to swim yet. These baby seals sit there on the ice for another month, living off their blubber reserves, losing up to half their body weight, completely alone and vulnerable to predators. The mother doesn't come back, doesn't check on it, nothing. The pup eventually figures out how to swim and hunt on its own, or it dies. About 30% of them don't make it. The really messed up part is the timing. The mother leaves specifically to breed again immediately, meaning she's prioritizing her next offspring before this one even has survival skills. She'll nurse her pup for less than 2 weeks total after a 9-month pregnancy, then peace out forever. Number 5. Tasmanian devils and the death pouch. Tasmanian devils give birth to up to 50 joeys at once, but the mother only has 4 nipples in her pouch. So when these tiny jelly bean-sized babies crawl into the pouch, it becomes a battle royale. The first 4 joeys to latch onto a nipple get to live. The other 46 just die in there because they can't get milk. The mother doesn't help them, doesn't try to rotate them, doesn't care. She'll carry around her 4 chosen survivors, while the dead ones just hang out in the pouch until they decompose, or she cleans them out. This happens with every single litter. She gives birth to dozens of babies, knowing only 4 will survive the first day. Once the 4 survivors latch on, they stay attached for about 4 months. But even then, the mom sometimes reabsorbs nutrients from the dead joeys. Evolution designed this system where 90% of offspring are expendable from birth, and the mother's body just accepts this as the normal reproductive process. Number 6. Quokkas and the tactical baby yeeting. Quokkas have this reputation for being the happiest animals on Earth because of their smiley faces. But they're actually pretty ruthless parents. When a predator chases a mother quokka, she'll literally throw her baby at the predator as a distraction. The joey gets tossed out of the pouch while mom escapes. This isn't a rare panic response either. It's a documented survival strategy that quokkas use regularly. The baby makes noise when it hits the ground, which attracts the predator's attention, giving the mother time to run. Most of the time, the joey dies. If it somehow survives the fall and the predator ignores it, the mother might come back for it later. But that's a big if. She's essentially using her offspring as bait. Quokkas can breed multiple times a year, so from an evolutionary standpoint, sacrificing one baby to save herself and produce more babies later makes sense. But it's still pretty dark when you realize that adorable smiling creature will chuck its own kid at a fox without hesitation. The joey has no defense mechanism, can't run, and just becomes a living decoy. Number 7. Burying beetles and the cannibal nursery. Burying beetles are actually considered some of the best insect parents because both mom and dad stick around to care for the larvae. Well, they stick around to manage their offspring like a resource. When the eggs hatch, the parents assess how much food is available on the small animal carcass they've buried. If there are too many larvae for the amount of food, the parents eat some of their own babies to adjust the family size to match the food supply. They don't kill the weakest ones or anything strategic. They just eat a certain number to get the ratio right. The remaining larvae get fed regurgitated meat from the parents, which sounds nice until you realize they might be eating their processed siblings. If another burying beetle tries to take over their carcass, the original parents will sometimes kill all their own offspring, rather than let a competitor's larvae benefit from their work. So these beetles will care for their young right up until it's more convenient to murder them, which could be for food management, resource defense, or just circumstances changing. The larvae have no idea if today is a care day or a cannibalism day. Number 8. Rabbits and the minimalist mothering approach. Rabbits are famous for breeding constantly, but their actual parenting is basically non-existent. A mother rabbit nurses her babies once per day for maybe 5 minutes total. The rest of the time, she's just gone. She doesn't stay with the nest, doesn't guard it, doesn't even hang around nearby. She builds a shallow hole in the ground, lines it with fur she tears from her own body, has her babies, and then leaves them there alone for 23 hours a day. The babies are born blind, deaf, and furless, sitting in this exposed nest while mom is off doing whatever rabbits do. She comes back once every 24 hours, nurses them for a few minutes, and leaves again. After about 3 weeks, she stops coming entirely, and the young rabbits are on their own. About 85% of wild baby rabbits die before they reach maturity. The mother's strategy is quantity over quality, since she can have multiple litters per year with up to a dozen babies each time. She's evolved to basically abandon her young and just keep making more, betting that sheer numbers will result in some survivors. If predators find the nest, she doesn't defend it. She just starts over. Number 9. Sexton beetles and brood reduction violence. Sexton beetles are another species of burying beetle, but they've got an even darker twist on parenting. The mother lays her eggs on a dead animal carcass and guards it aggressively, which sounds responsible. But if she decides she has too many larvae, she doesn't just eat them like other species. She'll bite off their legs to immobilize them, keeping them alive but unable to compete for food with their siblings. These crippled larvae become living food storage that the healthy siblings can eat later if needed. The mother actively maims her own children to create an emergency food supply. Sometimes she kills them outright, but often she just disables them and leaves them there as potential snacks. The healthy larvae will cannibalize their injured siblings when the carcass starts running low on meat. Both parents participate in this selective mutilation, working together to decide which offspring get to stay mobile and which ones become backup rations. The larvae can't escape or defend themselves once they've been crippled, so they just sit there waiting to either recover or get eaten. Number 10. Suriname toads and the body horror birth. Suriname toads have one of the most disturbing reproductive processes in nature, and the mother's body pays the price. During mating, the male fertilizes the eggs and presses them into the female's back. Her skin swells up and grows around each egg, creating individual pockets. For the next 3 to 4 months, she's got dozens of eggs embedded in her back like living bubble wrap. You can see them under her skin, developing into tadpoles. When they're ready to emerge, the baby toads burst out of her back in a scene that looks like nightmare fuel. Her skin is full of holes after the babies leave, and while it eventually heals, she's basically a living incubator who sacrifices her body tissue for reproduction. She can't remove the eggs, can't control the process once it starts, and just has to carry this burden until the babies claw their way out. The father does nothing after the initial egg pressing. He swims away and leaves her to deal with having her back used as a nursery for months. Some females die from infections or complications because having that many foreign bodies embedded in your skin is not exactly a safe biological process. Number 11. House sparrows and the fatal favoritism. House sparrows usually lay 4 to 5 eggs, and the parents feed all the chicks after they hatch. Well, they feed them unequally on purpose. The parents preferentially feed the largest, loudest chicks, while the smaller ones get less food and often starve. This isn't about the small chicks being too weak to compete. The parents actively choose to give more food to certain offspring. In tough years, when food is scarce, the smallest chick almost never survives because the parents essentially write it off and focus resources on the bigger siblings. Even when food is plentiful, the youngest chick usually gets the least attention. Scientists have done experiments swapping eggs between nests to create broods of all big chicks or all small chicks, and the parents still show favoritism based on size and begging intensity. The small sparrow in any nest is basically there as a backup in case one of the preferred chicks dies. If all the bigger chicks survive, that last little one starves while its parents watch and choose not to help it. The parents can hear it begging for food, they see it, they just decide it's not worth the investment compared to its larger siblings who have better survival odds. Animals evolve to maximize their genetic legacy, not to win parenting awards. Most of these terrible parenting strategies work specifically because the parents are prioritizing future reproduction over current offspring. A panda that abandons one twin can breed again. A rabbit that ignores her babies for 23 hours a day can have another litter in a few weeks. These species traded intensive parental care for higher reproduction rates, and from a pure survival standpoint, it works. Their genes continue, their populations persist, and the fact that individual babies suffer doesn't matter to natural selection. The parents that seem cruelest often have the most descendants. And as always, I love you guys.